The inner strength can be trained. And inner strength gets trained not through pain, but through challenge. The technical word is actually stress. But there's different kinds of stress. We've got stress that's really self destructive and stress that is self constructive. So we're going to talk about this as distress versus eustress, EU, like euphoria, eustress. So when you go run, you use stress, but it's eustress as part of your training factors. You push yourself. This is eustress. But if somebody's fat and out of shape and their knees hurt and they've got emphysema and you ask them to do the same run, it's going to be distress. So it's not automatically that one man's eustress is another man's eustress. And this training has to be done, in my view, on a custom and individualized fashion because we're all in a different place as far as what we can handle.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for your detailed, nuanced answer. That's exactly what I was hoping for. Physical strength not being the top priority for me at the moment, but when it comes to emotional strength, to resist eating too much fruit when I know that's just it flattens me out because there's insufficient minerals in the body. How do I resist that urge? Otherwise, I would have to go back on cooked foods because they're more mineral rich, because they're less sweet.
And what do you do for physical activity?
I run, I do some push-ups, sit-ups, and pull-ups.
When you say too much fruit, you mean something like you become spacey or you become sleepy or you gain weight or you overload your digestive system?
I absolutely get tired. And this only happens with fruits bought from the store that are at least 4 weeks old in the trucks and in the store, almost 100% organic. If they're fresh off the tree in the summer, apples, they give me energy. If I get the same apple from the store, it sucks energy. It just tires me.
Yeah.
There's something about the ripening and not being picked ripe. I don't know what it is. Mineral content is changed.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% convinced that it's mineral content, but we will look at this. There's mineral to sugar ratio. So we balance out our mineral to sugar ratio by eating vegetables with our fruit when necessary. So for instance, here in Costa Rica, where the bananas are insanely sweet, I'm eating celery with my bananas almost every day. I'll eat a fair amount of celery alongside every banana. Maybe the same length of banana as I have length of celery stalks. I don't know. But all the celery I care for. On the days where it's not celery, it's cucumber. And I'm eating cucumber and bananas. Whereas at home, I'm eating just bananas for lunch every day, and it's fine. They're not as sweet. They're still good, but man, the power of the banana here is pretty magnificent. So I essentially water it down with celery. If I just water it down with water, it's not the same, right? Because I'm not taking in minerals without sugar. So I'm intentionally watering it down with celery or cucumber or lettuce for that prescribed reason. The trick, I think, when I look at you and listen, is that if we increase the minerals through vegetables too much, you're going to get crazy hungry. You're going to lose weight. You're not going to have the energy to perform. You don't have a lot of weight to lose. And although it helps to be light when you're a runner, you can't just keep losing weight. So finding a balance between the sweet and the minerals has got to be. I'm at the moment helping a bunch of people through a water fast. They've just finished. Now they're starting the feeding process. We've been looking at all these feeding issues. And one of the issues they have is they run out of fuel so quickly because it's early days of refeeding. And each day it's getting a little better and they last a little longer. But this morning, one of the guys said, since dinner last night all the way to breakfast, I really don't have the energy to go do something unless I eat before I have to have a fourth meal or I I have to have something before the day starts. Whereas I start my day and I work out for an hour or two, and I'm not even thinking about food until afterwards. There's no way I would eat. It's not that I couldn't, I just wouldn't. So for you, if we have to fine tune it that closely to the point where you go, you know what? I'm going to have a little bit of vegetable with my fruit breakfast. And that's okay. It could be a tomato, for goodness sakes. You know, tomato and mango go really well together for breakfast, or tomato and cantaloupe go really well. But it could be tomato. It could be celery. Tomatoes giving you a slightly different mineral salts than celery, but that's what makes a tomato and a celery a celery. But a little vegetable with breakfast, and then as much as you want with lunch. Obviously, dinner, fruit, all the fruit you want before a dinner salad, and you're eating all that salad, not having the problem then when you have lots of salad. And it's not an exact number. But if you start eating more than 4 or 5 or 6, somewhere in there, percent of your total calories from vegetables, you're going to start losing weight. You're going to start craving fats. You're going to start craving complex carbohydrates. You're going to just, you're going to fade away, right? And neither end of those things, cravings nor losing, is on the agenda. To me, the problem is, where does giving into that fine tuning become making you like a hothouse plant? Where does it become coddling to the point where it's weakening you because you have to toughen up a little bit to be able to withstand life? So there's got to be an awareness that when we do something like this, say introduce fruit and a little veg at breakfast, fruit and some veg at lunch, rather than just veggies in the evening, and try to go all fruit in the day, that this is a temporary condition and it doesn't necessarily need to remain, because theoretically you should be able to eat it one day out of a week where all you got was fruit, because that was what was demanded. I don't generally do that. I generally eat vegetables every night, but mostly because I want to, not because I have to. I'm not backed into that corner. So there's going to be a little bit of training involved where you push the limits of what you can do, even though you know, okay, well, the solution is I'm going to eat more vegetables. I'm a vegetables breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, when we tie that into what is to me a different issue and bring it back to the topic of my talk, which was strength, I'm finding very close relationships between physical, mental, spiritual, emotional strength. It's all inner strength. Now, there's only so much inner strength, but it can be trained, right? There's like unlimited outer strength. It's out there in the universe. You got to tap in. But the inner strength can be trained. And inner strength gets trained not through pain, but through challenge. The technical word is actually stress. But there's different kinds of stress. We've got stress that's really self-destructive and stress that is self-constructive. So we're going to talk about this as distress versus eustress, EU, like euphoria, eustress. So when you go run, you use stress, but it's eustress as part of your training factors. You push yourself. This is eustress. But if somebody's fat and out of shape and their knees hurt and they've got emphysema and you ask them to do the same run, it's going to be distress. So it's not automatically that one man's eustress is another man's eustress. And this training has to be done, in my view, on a custom and individualized fashion, because we're all in a different place as far as what we can handle. If at the same time, we're not also building all the other elements of strength, including our self-talk, then the weakest link is invariably going to hold all the others back. There is a book called You Can't Afford the Luxury of a Negative Thought. If you haven't read it, you'll probably start recommending it to your clients once you do. It's an old book written in the time when Norman Vincent Peale and a lot of other guys were writing self-help books, how to make friends and influence people and stuff like that. But the concept of the title has more meaning for us today than it ever has. I don't know if you're familiar with the work of Bruce Lipton. He does some stuff understanding how cells and biology and genetics work together. And if we tie his work into this idea of you can't afford the luxury of a negative thought, like there's no room. If you have a stone in your shoe, every cell of your body responds. Every cell knows about it. Every cell responds. The genetics are affected in every cell. We all know about the stone, and we all know about the negative thought. Every cell responds to your negative thought in self-destructive ways. We don't need, and so the inner strength that comes from, and whether we're applying this in our business or whether you're applying this in your fitness training or whether you're applying it in your food patterns, to me, this is all one. They tie in. So anytime you're struggling, know, hey, if I add in more lettuce and celery and cucumber to my breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I'm going to come back in balance with my minerals. It's going to work like a charm as long as I don't do too much, in which case I'm going to start losing weight. You don't have to go crazy and weigh yourself every day. I'm not suggesting that at all. But you'll know, because if you start losing weight, your athletic performance is going to tail off. And if you run, you know how fast you can cover a kilometer or whatever it is. At the same time, when it's under control and you go, okay, it's back in balance. Now let me push a little bit. Let me expand what I'm capable of handling. I'm going to train a bit and maybe either cut down on vegetables or cut them out of one meal or cut them out of two meals eventually. And I'm just having fruit and some lettuce and celery. But lettuce and celery, I'm going to say for you, are available in unlimited quantities whenever you want them, even in between meals. And if you get to 10 in the morning or 3 in the afternoon and you go, I don't want more fruit, but I sure would love something to eat, go for half a head of lettuce and just chomp down a few bites and go, wow, this just totally hit the spot. The balance will come over time. There's a lot we were supposed to learn between age 0 and 10 that we never learned about how to eat. So we're trying to figure it out as adults. And some of that means we intellectualize a lot of stuff that we should have just internalized. Stuff you should have been able to, which is sort of funny. It's a sad commentary on us, but nonetheless true. If you would like to gain a kilo and it's not happening, you're not training properly. And if you switch up your training routine just a little, if you want to add on muscle, you have to train exactly the way a bodybuilder trains, which isn't going to improve your running and it isn't going to improve your strength, but it will allow you to gain muscle volume, which adds mass. And that's what they do. They're big, but they're not strong. Strong men are shaped completely different from bodybuilders for a reason. If you put those factors together, in my experience, you should have a winning solution that'll carry you not only through spring, but into the summer with, I mean, the spring's the hardest time to be doing our diet anyway. So if you can get through spring when the fruits aren't very mineral rich and the vegetables aren't very mineral rich, I mean, everything's struggling. The only thing worse than March is April. Sorry. But at least in April, you have May to look forward to. But in March, all you have to look forward to is April. It's just terrible. So why do I suggest adding the extra kilo or two? Because this will help you build reserves that will make this whole balancing act much less of a seesaw and much more of a platform. You know the animal called a cheetah? A cheetah has to catch food often because they don't have any reserves. in order to be the fastest land animal, they can't carry extra weight. So they carry no reserves. And if they don't eat every 2 days, they're never going to have enough energy to catch another animal. By 3 days, you might as well kiss that animal goodbye. He's got to catch food. It's desperate. At least the nice thing is he's running for his dinner, but the animal he's trying to catch is running for their life. But so is the cheetah. The cheetah is literally running for his life because the next meal is life to him. For the lion, they miss like 11 times out of 12. They're not successful very often in their kill attempts. But the cheetah has to catch. He doesn't get many chances. He better get it. You're light like a cheetah, which is great for running, and it's a great place to live. And being on that edge keeps you sharp in a zillion ways I think are great. But if I could snap my fingers and you said, I'd like to have a little more muscle here, here, and here, you already know where it is. That program's easy to build, and I'll explain how in the follow-up email. And go be a force for good in the world.
This was amazing. Thank you so much for your detailed, nuanced answer. That's exactly what I was hoping for. You absolutely have a brilliant mind. I think you're a phenomenal human being. You have done more to help humanity than most other thought leaders I know of. And I'm extremely grateful that you exist in this world because you have absolutely changed my life based on your understandings of natural hygiene, and I have shaped a lot of how I help other people based on your fundamental understandings that informed my subconscious mind how to think about other topics as well.
You got to think health. You got to be expecting health. You got to breathe in health. You got to breathe out health. You got to see it coming. You got to know your body's working perfectly, healthfully. It's got to be everything. It's how we're built. It's our design. Is health. But thank you. Those are incredibly kind words. I thank you so very, very much. Be well.
Thank you, Dr. Bernard.